Oh, Deebo's from the movie Friday. I wrestle as a character named Zeus, the character from Dark Knight.
In December 2020, Hollywood was shaken when Tommy Tiny Lister, the gentle giant with crossed eyes and a kind smile off-screen, suddenly passed away. The entire world simultaneously paid tribute to the legendary Deebo from Friday. But then, as the funeral took place, a few major stars from Friday were nowhere to be seen. Where was Ice Cube? Chris Tucker had disappeared. Regina King and Nia Long were also absent. Fans began to ask, was it only COVID that kept them away? Or were there untold behind-the-scenes secrets? This wasn't just idle gossip. This was a story about friendship, about unresolved regrets, and about decisions that left audiences utterly shocked. So, what was the truth behind the empty seats at Tommy Lister's funeral? After all these years, what secrets have slowly come to light? Hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because you're about to uncover one of the most heartbreaking dramas in Hollywood, the absences that shocked fans. Tommy Tiny Lister's funeral took place under circumstances unlike any other Hollywood farewell. In December 2020, Los Angeles was deep in the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic. Funeral homes were overwhelmed, hospitals were overflowing, and public health regulations forced families to hold quiet ceremonies with strict limits on the number of attendees. Instead of a grand memorial filled with celebrities, the funeral of Deebo happened quietly, with very few familiar faces before the cameras. It was this silence that created a major shock among fans. After all, if anyone deserved a send-off surrounded by friends and colleagues from the industry, it was Tommy Lister, the towering giant at nearly 6'5", who appeared in more than 80 films and became forever associated with the iconic bully Deebo from Friday. The first absence to spark public curiosity was Ice Cube. Not only was he the main character, Craig in Friday Cube was also the screenwriter and producer, the one who personally cast Lister as Deebo. The two had collaborated on several other projects as well, from Friday 1995 to Next Friday 2000, and The Players Club 1998. Their close relationship was publicly affirmed when Cube tweeted right after hearing the news, "R.I.P. Tiny Deebo Lister," the man who scared America on screen but was a natural-born artist and a kind brother in real life. That message garnered hundreds of thousands of interactions, proving the bond between Cube and Lister. Yet when the funeral took place, Ice Cube was absent. Fans were puzzled. How could a brother miss the final goodbye? Rumors quickly spread, was there a falling out? Or was Cube simply too busy? But the truth was much simpler. During that intense wave of the pandemic, Los Angeles had strict guest limits for funerals, and Cube himself confirmed he couldn't attend and had to send a representative on behalf of the family. It wasn't a sign of indifference, it was an unavoidable situation. In fact, many believe Cube chose to stay away to protect his loved ones, as COVID cases in California were then exceeding 30,000 per day. If Cube's absence came as a surprise, Chris Tucker's added another layer of intrigue. Tucker played Smokey, the witty, mischievous counterpart to Craig in the original Friday. The Craig-Smokey duo became a cultural icon of the 90s, and Smokey's terrified reaction to Deebo remains one of the film's most memorable scenes. But after the success of the first film, Tucker declined to return for Next Friday. The reason, he later admitted that his religious beliefs made him uncomfortable, continuing to portray a character who smoked weed and cursed heavily. More importantly, he turned down a massive paycheck of $10–12 million, an astronomical figure for a comedian at the time, to stay true to his principles. That decision created a distance between Tucker and the Friday family. When Lister passed away, Tucker didn't appear at the funeral either, but he did express warm tributes, calling Lister a legend, a great friend, during retrospective interviews. In 2023, Tucker even compared Deebo to the shark in Jaws, a villain no one could forget. Clearly, Tucker still held deep respect for Lister. He simply chose to honor him through memory and media, rather than attending a quiet pandemic-era ceremony. Not only Ice Cube and Chris Tucker, but many other familiar faces were also not present at the funeral. Nia Long, the lead actress Debbie Regina King, the younger sister Dana Faison Love, Big Worm, and Anna Maria Horsford, Mrs. Jones, all chose to remember Lister from afar. The actresses posted tributes and shared memories on social media, rather than appearing in person. Part of the reason was the Lister family's desire to keep the funeral private. Another was the strict guest limit, which made it impossible for everyone to gather. In that context, absence didn't mean indifference. On the contrary, every post and message online reflected the affection the Friday cast had for Lister. Tommy Lister's funeral thus became a Hollywood paradox. The fewer people attended, the more debates it sparked. Fans questioned why Cube wasn't there, why Tucker stayed silent, why Regina King and Nia Long were missing. But looking closely at the situation in 2020, when Los Angeles was paralyzed by the pandemic, and each family was only allowed a small ceremony, one can understand why so many empty chairs were present. The truth is, they didn't turn their backs on Tommy Lister. They just chose to honor him in different ways, through a viral tweet, an emotional interview, or simply a silence filled with respect. Ironically, it was this very absence that highlighted Lister's importance to his peers. Because even without Cube, without Tucker, without Nia Long or Regina King, Lister's funeral stirred, Hollywood drew the attention of millions of fans and prompted hundreds of artists to express their grief. And that proves Friday's Deebo may have missed one final send-off, but he will never be absent from the memories of audiences and friends. Behind the scenes, truth versus speculation. While the absences of Ice Cube and Chris Tucker at Tommy Lister's funeral left, fans stunned the initial explanations because of COVID, due to guest limitations didn't fully satisfy public curiosity. In Hollywood culture, it's rare for a legendary actor's farewell to be so sparsely attended. And that very emptiness sparked countless rumors. Was there underlying conflict within the Friday family? Did Cube and Lister have a falling out? Was Chris Tucker harboring unspoken distance? Over time, those questions began to unravel, separating truth from speculation. In reality, objective circumstances played the decisive role. In December 2020, Los Angeles County was reporting over 30,000 new COVID-19 cases, daily paralyzing the healthcare system and forcing funeral homes to strictly limit guests. Many families couldn't hold large ceremonies, and some had to shorten services to just a few dozen minutes. Tommy Lister's family was no exception. Authorities only allowed a small group of relatives and representatives to attend. This meant that even if Ice Cube had wanted to bring the entire cast, it simply wasn't possible. Cube later admitted that he sent a representative in his place because public health had to take priority. It wasn't about indifference, it was a difficult choice made under extraordinary circumstances. Alongside the pandemic, emotional factors also came into play. For years, Ice Cube had been nurturing Last Friday, a fourth installment meant to reunite the original cast, including Deebo. But in 2019, John Witherspoon, who played Pops, passed away. A year later, Tommy Lister followed. Cube publicly confessed that he felt deep regret for not having completed the tribute film in time. That lingering guilt led many fans to believe that Cube avoided the funeral out of overwhelming sorrow, unable to face the public in such a vulnerable moment. This theory holds some weight, especially given Cube's private nature and his tendency to keep personal emotions off camera. Chris Tucker's absence, meanwhile, stirred even more speculation. Tucker had been a breakout star in Friday 1995, but quickly distanced himself from the franchise. He famously turned down a $10.12 million offer for Next Friday to stay true to his religious beliefs, choosing not to associate with portrayals of weed use or profanity. Many assumed this distance created a rift between Tucker and the Friday family. However, a closer look at the facts reveals a different story. Just a year before Lister's passing, Tucker and Lister had appeared together on stage at a church, playfully joking like close brothers. After Lister died, Tucker publicly called him a legend and compared Deebo to the shark in Jaws. There were no signs of resentment or conflict. Clearly, Tucker's absence wasn't due to tension. It was more about geographical distance, the pandemic, and a preference for private remembrance. Ironically, those absences became fertile ground for speculation. In fan culture, silence is often filled with theory. Rumor channels even claimed that Cube and Lister argued on set, or that Tucker was blacklisted by Cube for leaving the franchise. But interviews with colleagues quickly dispelled those ideas. Ice-T, LL Cool J, Jamie Foxx, Magic Johnson. All close friends of Lister described him as a kind, joyful man who never offended anyone. On the Friday set, Lister was known for staying in character as Deebo, just to joke around then breaking into laughter, lightening the mood rather than causing tension. So, why so many rumors? The answer lies in the public's hunger for behind-the-scenes drama. A sparsely attended funeral in Hollywood is already unusual. When tied to the star-studded cast of Friday, curiosity was bound to explode. But over time, the truth became clear. There was no betrayal, no coldness, only the harsh circumstances of a global pandemic combined with the privacy the family wished to preserve for the departed. That's why the important question isn't who didn't show up, but rather, how did they choose to remember him? Ice Cube offered a tribute that garnered millions of views on Twitter. Chris Tucker honored Lister through emotional interviews. Regina King, Nia Long, and Faizon Love shared their sorrow on social media. Each in their own way helped keep Tommy Lister alive in the public memory. And paradoxically, the empty chairs at the funeral didn't diminish Deebo's legacy. They only made his name echo louder. The legacy of friendship and respect. As speculation surrounding the absences began to fade, what remained clearer than ever was the deep friendship and respect Tommy "Tiny" Lister left in the hearts of his colleagues. Beyond the Hollywood spotlight, beyond the intense on-screen face-offs, Lister wasn't just the terrifying Deebo. He was a brother, a friend, a warm and unforgettable presence to anyone who had ever worked with him. Ice Cube stands as the clearest testament to that legacy of friendship. From the moment he began writing, Friday Cube saw in Lister more than just a towering 6'5" frame, and over 130 kilograms of bulk. He saw eyes capable of conveying both menace and humor. He gave Lister the role of Deebo, the bully of the neighborhood, and that role changed Lister's life. But their friendship didn't end with one film. Cube continued to cast Lister in Next Friday, and the Players Club, proving that he always valued his brother. After Lister passed away, Cube didn't just pay tribute in words. He publicly said that Tiny's passing left a hole in his heart and in the hearts of everyone who loved Friday. Chris Tucker, despite parting ways with the franchise early, also had a special bond with Lister. On-screen, Tucker's Smokey was constantly terrified of Deebo creating some of the most iconic comedy scenes in film history. But in real life, the two shared the stage at a church event in 2019. When Tucker introduced Tiny before a crowd of hundreds, the room erupted with laughter and cheers. That moment proved one thing. Despite their diverging career paths, the friendship remained. When speaking about Tiny after his death, Tucker used the most heartfelt words: a legend, a great friend, and said the character of Deebo carried the same weight as the shark in Jaws. That wasn't flattery. It was truth from someone who had witnessed Lister's talent and humor firsthand. It wasn't just the Friday cast. Many across the entertainment industry held deep respect for Tiny. Ice-T, who had acted alongside him in Trespass and other projects, wrote on Twitter, "I've lost a close friend. We weren't just colleagues, we were family." LL Cool J, Jamie Foxx, Magic Johnson, titans of sports and entertainment, also paid tribute. Magic Johnson, who had known Tiny for over 30 years, called him a wonderful friend and a source of positive energy. Even Mark Hamill, the Star Wars legend, expressed admiration for Lister's passing. It all pointed to one thing: Lister's impact reached far beyond a single comedy franchise. He left his mark across Hollywood. Behind these stories is another powerful image: Lister on set, often becoming Deebo to intimidate his co-stars, then immediately breaking into laughter. Ice Cube once recalled how he could switch into Deebo mode at will, making the set both intense and joyful. It was this contrast, the fearsome exterior paired with a gentle soul, that made him so beloved among his peers. Everyone knew that once the cameras stopped rolling, Deebo vanished, and only Tiny remained a man always ready to help and bring laughter to those around him. Lister's friendship with his colleagues was also reflected in his deep connection to the character of Deebo. When he legally changed his name to Deebo in 2020, it wasn't just a gesture of pride, it was a tribute to the entire team behind Friday. It was proof that for Lister, friendship and work were inseparable parts of a meaningful life. And perhaps paradoxically, it was the very absence from his funeral that cemented the value of those friendships. Though they couldn't physically be there on his final day, every tweet, every tribute video, every shared behind-the-scenes memory made one thing clear: Tiny Lister was never abandoned. He remains present in memories, in laughter, and in the words of his friends. The respect and love he sowed in the hearts of his colleagues rose above the funeral itself, becoming a living legacy. And that ultimately is what fans should remember: the empty seats on the day of farewell, weren't signs of coldness. They were reminders that true friendship isn't measured by appearances. It lives on in memory and stories, and in the legacy Tommy "Tiny" Lister left behind for Hollywood and for the world. Tommy Lister's biography and career highlights. Tommy "Tiny" Lister was more than just a giant on screen. His life was a testament to overcoming adversity and reaching the hearts of millions. Born on June 24, 1958, in Compton, California, Lister grew up in a turbulent environment. From birth, he faced a major challenge. A detached retina in his right eye left him blind on that side. His crossed eyes became a distinctive feature, one that made him look intimidating, yet uniquely recognizable. But instead of letting it hold him back, Tiny turned this physical difference into an asset, helping him embody unforgettable, fearsome characters throughout his acting career. In his youth, Lister didn't begin with film, he started with sports. Standing nearly 6'5" and weighing over 130 kilograms, he quickly excelled in athletics, particularly shot put. In 1982, while attending California State University, he won the NCAA Division II National Championship in shot put, an achievement that led many to believe he was destined for a lifelong career in sports. But fate opened another door. In the late 1980s, Tiny ventured into professional wrestling. Under the name Zeus, he appeared in the WWF, now WWE, even stepping into the ring to face off against the legendary Hulk Hogan. Later, he rebranded as Z-Gangsta in WCW, though his wrestling career didn't last long. Still, that experience in the ring prepared him well for the biggest shift of his life, Hollywood. Lister began his film journey with supporting roles in action films throughout the 1980s and 1990s. He appeared in Runaway Train 1985, Beverly Hills Cop 2 1987, and Universal Soldier 1992. With his intimidating face and massive frame, Tiny was often cast as a security guard henchman or bloodthirsty villain. But it wasn't until 1995 that his breakout moment arrived. Ice Cube and director F. Gary Gray cast Lister as Deebo in Friday. The character, a neighborhood bully who robs and intimidates everyone, quickly became iconic. The scene of Deebo riding around on his bike, eyes darting menacingly, then punching Craig in the face, was burned into the memory of millions. Deebo wasn't just a villain, he became a cultural figure. The phrase "you got Deeboed" entered American slang, meaning to get your stuff stolen or be publicly bullied. Following the massive success of Friday, Lister reprised his role in Next Friday 2000, even if only briefly at the film's end, because the character had become so beloved. He also worked with Ice Cube again in The Players Club 1998, expanding his presence beyond a single role. But surprisingly, Tiny wasn't limited to playing bad guys. In 1997, he starred in Luc Besson's The Fifth Element, portraying Galactic President Lindbergh, a powerful yet honorable figure. That performance proved Tiny could break away from typecasting and portray positive, dignified roles. In 2008, he appeared in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight as the towering prisoner faced with the moral decision of whether to detonate a ferry. The moment he tossed the detonator out the window and rejected violence became one of the film's most powerful, humanizing moments. Over a career spanning more than 3 decades, Tiny appeared in over 80 films. Though he was never a box office headliner, he possessed something far rarer, an immortal character etched into pop culture. Deebo was his living legacy. In fact, in 2020, just months before his death, Lister filed to legally change his middle name to Deebo. On his official death certificate, he was named Tommy Deebo Lister. Even though the spelling differed slightly, missing an E from Deebo, the gesture revealed just how deeply he identified with the role that had made him a Hollywood fixture. Off-camera, Lister was a man of family and faith. In 2003, he married Felicia Forbes, a South African missionary, and together they had a daughter. Interestingly, his wife's name, Felicia, mirrored the now famous "Bye Felicia" line from Friday, which fans found amusingly coincidental. Tiny was a devoted Christian who often participated in ministry and outreach activities. Many of his colleagues described him as a jokester, a generous spirit, and someone who always held strong faith in God. Tragically, Lister's health declined in his final years. He suffered from diabetes and developed COVID-like symptoms shortly before Christmas in 2020. Though he hoped to be vaccinated in time to enjoy the holidays with his daughter, he passed away at the age of 62. The official cause of death was heart disease brought on by hypertension and atherosclerosis, though the fact that he had contracted COVID-19 made the loss even more heartbreaking. Tommy Lister left behind a legacy not just in film roles, but in cultural impact. Deebo became a meme, a slang term, a comically terrifying figure for an entire generation. More importantly, Lister left behind respect in the hearts of his peers and affection from his fans. From a cross-eyed kid in Compton to an immortal screen presence, Tiny rose to become a legend. His life is a story of legacy and of the light he brought to the world. The unfinished Last Friday dream. Ever since Friday debuted in 1995 and became a cultural phenomenon, fans have longed for a complete conclusion to the series. Ice Cube, the creative force behind the franchise, made repeated promises about a fourth installment titled Last Friday. The idea was to reunite the original cast, Craig "Smokey" Deebo, and bring the journey to a close with a blend of humor and nostalgia. In numerous interviews, Cube affirmed, "I want to bring everybody back to relive the Friday vibe that fans love." But that dream kept getting delayed. Long-standing issues over rights with New Line Cinema dragged on for years, preventing the project from getting a green light. Meanwhile, time passed, and familiar faces began to fade from life. John Witherspoon, who played Pops Craig's father, passed away in 2019. Just a year later, Tommy Lister followed. Both were irreplaceable pillars of the Friday universe. These losses led many fans to believe that Last Friday had lost its chance to ever become a reality, missing the characters most essential to its heart. The truth is, Ice Cube was deeply remorseful. He spoke at John Witherspoon's funeral expressing, "I'm sorry we didn't get to make the next film before Pops passed." When Tiny Lister also passed away, that regret doubled. Fans shared their thoughts on social media. "We didn't just lose Deebo. We lost the chance to ever see a complete Last Friday." Some colleagues like Clifton Powell suggested that if the project were still made, it could serve as a tribute to John Witherspoon and Tommy Lister. But in reality, no one is certain if Last Friday will ever come to life. Scripts were written and rewritten, but the loss of two iconic figures left the project in limbo. And yet this very incompletion only strengthens the legacy of Friday. Because now the series isn't just about laughter, it's also a memory of those who left their indelible mark. Last Friday may never have rolled cameras, but in the hearts of fans, it lives on as an unrealized dream one, forever tied to the name Deebo and the enduring legacy of Tommy Tiny Lister. Life after Friday. Where are they now? Nearly 3 decades have passed since Friday first hit theaters and became a cultural sensation. Though the film focused on just a single day in the South Central neighborhood of Los Angeles, its cast carved their names into American cinematic history. After the passing of Tommy Tiny Lister, fans not only revisited Deebo's enduring legacy, but also began to wonder, where are the legendary faces of Friday now, and what are they doing? Ice Cube. The creative heart of Friday remains one of the most influential figures in entertainment. Beyond music and acting, Cube expanded his reach into sports by founding the professional 3-on-3 basketball league Big 3 in 2017, which attracted numerous former NBA stars. In music, he continues both as a solo artist and a member of NWA. In film, he remains active in successful franchises like Ride Along and Barbershop. Now in his 50s, Cube stands as an artist, entrepreneur, and cultural icon, proof that his creative energy has never waned. Chris Tucker, who brought roaring laughter to audiences with his role as Smokey, left the franchise early, but still enjoyed a remarkable career. After Friday, Tucker exploded in popularity with the Rush Hour series, alongside Jackie Chan, earning record-breaking pay at one point, commanding $25 million per film. Though his film career later slowed down, Tucker returned to his roots in stand-up comedy, where he still keeps audiences in stitches. In recent years, he's been involved in independent films, charitable work, and church outreach, maintaining a reputation as a funny yet deeply faithful artist. Nia Long, who portrayed Debbie, the strong and charming girl next door in Friday, built a steady career on both the big and small screen. She starred in major titles like Boys End, The Hood Love Jones, The Best Man, and more recently appeared in series such as Empire and NCIS Los Angeles. Long has become a symbol of beauty and resilience, frequently honored among the most successful African-American actresses of the past decade. Regina King, who played Craig's sister Dana in Friday, has arguably achieved the highest artistic acclaim of them all. After a series of powerful roles in television and film, King won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress in 2019 for If Beale Street Could Talk. along with multiple Emmy Awards for Watchmen. She has also emerged as a successful director, becoming one of Hollywood's most powerful women. Regina King's journey from a small role in Friday to the pinnacle of the entertainment industry is nothing short of extraordinary. Faizon Love, known for his role as Big Worm with his curly hair and cocky attitude, has maintained a steady presence in comedy. He's appeared in numerous hit films like Elf and Couples Retreat and continues to perform stand-up with his signature satirical style. Anna Maria Horsford, who played Mrs. Jones Craig's mother, has been a staple of American television for decades. She has appeared in countless sitcoms and dramas, becoming a familiar face to African American audiences. With a wealth of experience, Horsford continues to contribute through roles as loving mothers or cheerful neighbors, keeping her name warmly present in pop culture. Looking back, each Friday actor has forged their own path. Some, like Regina King, have climbed to Hollywood's peak. Others, like Ice Cube, have become multifaceted cultural symbols. And some, like Chris Tucker, have stepped back into smaller arenas, but still left their mark. Despite their different directions, they all share one thing: an eternal bond with the legacy of Friday. In nearly every interview when asked about the film, they take a moment to honor Tiny Lister, the colleague who helped make Friday a cherished piece of collective memory. That legacy serves as a bridge to the final chapter. The story of Deebo's passing isn't just a reminder of mortality, but proof of the enduring power of friendship memory and the culture that Friday helped plant and grow. Tommy "Tiny" Lister may have left this world, but the image of Deebo and the friendships he left behind will live on forever in popular culture. His absence at the funeral was merely a snapshot within the larger picture of legacy and the deep emotional relationships behind the scenes of Friday. And that is exactly why we continue to tell this story, so it will never be forgotten. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the hottest behind-the-scenes stories in Hollywood. This is only the beginning. There are still so many secrets waiting for you to discover.
All data, analysis, and commentary in this video are presented based on information available at the time of production. The content is subject to change over time and should not be considered a definitive forecast.
There is still so much more to explore: stories of resilience, legacy, and truth. Feel free to dive into some of our top recommended videos now during on the screen.